You can usually spot a raw food enthusiast by their shiny countertop blender. Not this time. You probably think going raw just means a cold dinner, but the real evolutionary answer is far stranger, involving a shrunken gut, a ballooning skull, and a biological contract signed in ancient fire. Your body can't survive it. What actually happens when you ask, what if you stopped cooking your food? Grab a raw potato. Start chewing. Your jaw muscles will burn after just 10 minutes of grinding those woody fibers. Yet your stomach will extract almost zero usable energy from the cold, uncooked starch. The clock keeps ticking. How long could you survive on raw root vegetables before your muscles withered away? Look at a gorilla. It looks incredibly strong. That silverback must spend 8 exhausting hours every single day sitting in the dirt, chewing massive piles of raw leaves to feed its giant, fermenting belly. Your stomach is different. Why is your modern digestive tract so remarkably small and flat? Anthropologist Richard Wrangham answered this. He studied human ancestors. His research at Harvard University showed that your ancient relatives succeeded because they outsourced their digestion to the crackling flames of an outdoor campfire. Fire did the chewing. What happens when heat touches a tough piece of wild game? The chemistry changes fast. Proteins unfold. This process is called denaturation, which simply means unfolding tangled chemical structures like wool sweaters, so your stomach enzymes can easily chop them up. Starches turn to gel. Do you know how much energy this pre-digestion saves your internal organs? Scientist Herbert Watts measured this. He tracked digestion costs. His work revealed that eating cooked meat reduces the physical energy your gut spends on digestion by up to 30% compared to raw meat. That energy is free. Where does your body send all those surplus calories? Look at your head. It's huge. Your brain consumes a massive 20% of your daily caloric intake, even though it only makes up a tiny fraction of your total body weight. Other primates can't afford this. How did your ancestors pay this astronomical daily energy bill? Neuroscientist Susanna Herculano-Husel solved this. She liquefied animal brains. By counting the actual neurons, she proved that a primate eating only raw food would need to forage for over 9 hours a day to power a human-sized brain. That's physically impossible. Would you choose to spend your entire waking life just chewing leaves? Modern raw dieters try this. They lose weight. In the famous Giessen raw food study, researchers tracked hundreds of people who ate only raw food and found that over 30% of the women completely stopped menstruating. Their bodies were starving. Is a raw diet actually natural for a modern human body? Your colon is tiny. Your stomach is small. Compared to a chimpanzee of the same weight, your digestive tract is about 60% smaller because you no longer need a massive vat to ferment raw plant walls. You traded gut for brain. What would happen if you tried to grow that giant fermenting gut back? Touch your back teeth. They are flat. Your molars are the smallest of any hominin in history, reflecting an evolutionary trajectory that abandoned heavy chewing muscles the moment your ancestors mastered the hearth. Your jaw is weak. Could you crush a raw bison bone with those delicate teeth? Heat changes the starch. Water enters the granules. This is called gelatinization, which is the scientific term for when heat forces water into tight starch clusters, swelling them until they burst into an easily digestible jelly. Raw starch resists water. Why do you think raw flour makes your stomach ache so intensely? Meat undergoes denaturation too. Tight proteins unwind. Imagine a tightly wound ball of yarn being pulled straight by invisible fingers of heat, exposing every single strand to the digestive juices waiting in your stomach. It's pre-chewed chemistry. How much faster can your stomach dissolve a cooked steak than a raw one? Digestion costs immense energy. You burn calories sitting. This baseline expense is your basal metabolic rate, the metabolic tax you pay just to keep your heart pumping, your lungs expanding, and your warm blood circulating. Cooking lowers this tax. Can you imagine trying to pay that daily tax with raw celery? Look at the data. The results are stark. Even with modern blenders, food processors, and imported tropical fruits, the raw foodists in the Giessen study suffered from chronic energy deficiency and severe weight loss. They lived in warmth. What would have happened to them in a freezing ice age winter? Meet Homo erectus. He was upright. Nearly 2 million years ago, this clever hominin stood beside a glowing crackle of embers, holding a charred piece of antelope meat on a pointed wooden stick. His brain grew fast. Did he realize he was rewriting the biological rules of the entire planet? Fire is external digestion. It breaks down toxins. By exposing wild tubers to intense heat, your ancestors neutralized deadly chemical defenses that plants evolved to protect themselves from being eaten by hungry mammals. Cooking made plants safe. How many ancestral lives were saved by simply roasting a bitter root? Look at chimpanzee teeth. They've got massive fangs. Chimpanzees require immense canine teeth and heavy jaw crests on their skulls to tear through tough, raw monkey meat and fibrous wild figs. Your face is flat. Why did your ancestors trade defensive fangs for small, delicate grins? Chewing requires heavy muscle. Muscle requires metabolic energy. The temporalis muscle, which runs from your jaw to the side of your skull, shrunk drastically over evolutionary time because soft, cooked food demanded so little physical force. This freed up space. Did this physical shrinkage allow your brain case to expand upward and outward? Two scientists proposed this. They studied metabolic trade-offs. Leslie Aiello and Peter Wheeler published the expensive tissue hypothesis, showing that a species cannot support both a massive brain and a large digestive system simultaneously. One must shrink. How did cooking allow your ancestors to choose the brain over the gut? Raw plants have defenses. They produce poisons. From the cyanide in raw cassava roots to the toxic lectins in uncooked kidney beans, nature has designed plant seeds specifically to punish any animal foolish enough to eat them raw. Heat destroys these toxins. Would you risk eating a handful of raw red kidney beans knowing it could hospitalize you? Your gut bacteria help. They eat leftovers. When you eat raw plants, your gut flora must work overtime in your large intestine, fermenting the tough cellulose into short-chain fatty acids that your body can actually absorb. Cooked food bypasses this. Do you really want to force your microscopic companions to do all the heavy lifting? Cold water costs energy. Your stomach warms it. When you drink ice water or eat frozen food, your core must burn valuable calories just to heat that mass up to your normal body temperature of 98 degrees. Wild animals can't do this. Why would any creature waste precious winter calories warming up frozen food? Smelling cooked food is intoxicating. Your nose knows why. The Maillard reaction occurs when heat fuses amino acids and sugars, creating hundreds of new flavor compounds that signal high energy density directly to your ancient brain. It smells like survival. Have you ever wondered why raw beef never smells as delicious as a searing steak? Try eating raw chicken. It's highly dangerous. Without the sterilizing power of heat, raw meat exposes your delicate digestive system to lethal pathogens like Salmonella, E. coli, and parasitic worms that easily bypass raw stomach acid. Cooking as a shield. How did your ancestors survive before they had fire to sterilize their kills? Compare a raw apple. Compare an apple pie. The baked apple pie delivers far more digestible sugars because the heat has already broken down the rigid pectin walls that normally lock those calories away. Cooking unlocks hidden doors. How many calories are you throwing in the trash when you eat raw fruit? Look at raw bone. It needs calcium. Further analysis of the geese in raw food subjects showed they also suffered from accelerated bone loss due to a lack of minerals that are normally unlocked by cooking. Their skeletons were weakening. Is a raw lifestyle worth the structural decay of your own support system? Fire gathers people together. It creates a circle. Sitting around a shared cooking fire forced your ancestors to develop language, social cooperation, and patience while they waited for the tough meat to become tender. Cooking built human society. Would you have developed complex culture if everyone ate alone in the dark? Consider your sleeping patterns. You sleep all night. Because your cooked meals are so energy-dense, you don't need to wake up every few hours to chew leaves like a koala or a giant panda. You have free time. What would you do with your day if 9 hours were dedicated to chewing? Raw carnivores eat fast. They have short guts. A lion has incredibly strong stomach acid and a short, smooth colon designed to push raw meat through its body before deadly bacteria can multiply. You don't. Why do you think food poisoning from raw meat is so devastating to humans? Cooking takes time now. You use a stove. Yet the 20 minutes you spend boiling pasta is a tiny fraction of the hours your ancestors spent gathering small, bitter wild seeds that were completely inedible raw. It's a bargain. Would you trade your modern kitchen for an endless day of foraging? Underground tubers are gold. They store pure energy. These underground storage organs, like wild yams, allowed early humans to survive harsh droughts because fire could turn these woody bulbs into soft, sweet energy bombs. Fire unlocked the earth. How could your ancestors have colonized cold, dry climates without hot starch? Fire created a bottleneck. Ancestors became dependent. Once your ancestors adapted to the soft, sterile, energy-dense meals cooked over a fire, their physical bodies changed so permanently that they could never return to the wild forest. You became captive. Is your absolute dependence on cooked food the ultimate evolutionary trap? Look at modern weight. The scale is rising. The exact evolutionary trick that saved your ancestors, maximizing energy gain while minimizing digestive effort, has now backfired in a world of endless, cheap, pre-cooked calories. You are too efficient. Is the modern obesity epidemic just the natural result of perfect cooking? Your body is changing. Evolution never stops working. Some anthropologists speculate that your digestive tract will continue to shrink even further as modern food becomes increasingly processed and easy to absorb. You are self-domesticating. Will your descendants lose their teeth entirely in 1,000,000 years? The raw myth crumbles. Pure nature is harsh. While eating raw fruits and vegetables provides vital vitamins, attempting to live entirely on uncooked food is a luxury of the modern, heated grocery store world. It's an illusion. Can you see how deeply you depend on the ancient flames of the hearth? Look at your stove. It looks ordinary. That simple metal box in your kitchen is not just an appliance, but the very crucible that forged your large brain, your small gut, and your entire human identity. You are the cook. How will you look at your next warm meal, knowing it is the only thing keeping you human?